Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Sona Shah. Sona, welcome on the show.
Thank you so much, Nathan. It is such a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all ours. So let's get started with the big question. Who is Sona?
I love that you start with something so deep and yet so simple. Who is Sona? I would probably say that I would describe myself as an unapologetic optimist that searches for humor and hope and joy in all parts of my life. I'm so grateful to have so many different facets that bring me so much joy and meaning. I am grateful to be the mother of two amazing children and a sweet puppy. I am grateful to be married to an incredible husband. I am grateful to be the founder of a company that really is in alignment with my values. I'm grateful to be a volunteer in our community. And honestly, I'm just grateful to be alive and to be able to search for meaning on this universe.
So beautiful. And I can, having known you for a while now and having seen your work, I can attest to pretty much everything you said. So
Thank you.
all I can say is thank you for being an amazing human being and for spreading the love. Let's talk about what is my private professor.
Sure. So, My Private Professor is an educational services platform that helps all students succeed. Our mission is to inspire and empower today's students so they can achieve their highest potential and lead tomorrow's world. As for the inception, I kind of think of it as like a boomerang. I'm kind of bringing it back to my own roots. When I was a child, I started tutoring as early as fifth grade, and I always had a passion for teaching. So, continue that through middle school, high school, college. I was grateful to be a teaching assistant in college and created a tutoring program for students. And I always craved the aha moment, that moment where it just kind of fit. Some student is trying to work on something and it just made sense. That was something that I found so rewarding and I really, really loved it. So after college, I switched gears and I went to Berkeley for law school and practiced business litigation. And I have to say, Nathan, after 6 years of really learning how to live my life on the billable hour schedule, I had this epiphany. And I don't know, call me crazy, but for some reason, aggressively suing companies and defending them for money just didn't give me that warm, fuzzy feeling of like life's purpose. So I decided I'd just trade in my briefcase and get a backpack and basically start from scratch and go back to basics. And I decided to do what I've always loved, which is teaching. And so I taught basically every subject: English, math, test prep, like the whole
Mhm.
alphabet soup: SAT, LSAT, GMAT, college counseling. Basically, if there was a subject, I could teach it, except for cooking. You can attest to ask my husband about that. But demand happened to explode. And what I realized was I really need a team with me that could support the needs of all of these students. So I created a team of, of tutors that could help us for the K through 12, all classes. And it happened to be, Nathan, that at the same time, I was grateful to be involved in a number of nonprofits. And it wasn't lost on me that, the students that are getting the benefit of this competitive advantage of tutoring and services are those that could afford it. And there's a lot of students that basically don't have access or opportunity that will not get that same benefit. So at the outset, I realized that I need to integrate some type of a socially responsible element into the business model. And so what we decided to do was that with every hour, a portion of the proceeds are going to be earmarked and then used to support, resources and educational services in the community to lift everybody up. And that's basically how my private professor was born.
That's so amazing. Such a beautiful story. And, this profit with purpose and having that element from the very beginning, talks a lot about the vision and the mission and the drive coming into this in the first place. Give us a sense of the size and scale of your operations. How many students are you helping? How many tutors do you have on the platform, and what geographies are you serving?
Yes, excellent question. I would tell you that I'm very grateful because this started as a one woman shop, as you heard, and now it's grown to over 65 tutors
Wow.
from top schools across the country. So Stanford, MIT, Harvard, UC Berkeley. I would love to continue listing it, but just incredible, incredible tutors and growing every day.
Mhm.
And we are supporting virtually every single subject, K through 12, plus test prep, college applications, graduate school. Our focus has increased from only individual tutoring to group tutoring, drop-in sessions, curated classes, and that's been really wonderful. I like to measure everything as impact. How many students do we reach? How many students can we help? And I'm really pleased to be able to share that we are helping hundreds and hundreds of students across the country, from New York to Chicago to Florida to Texas to California, every single month. The youngest is in kindergarten, the oldest are in graduate school, and we are just really grateful to be able to do that.
That's such an amazing impact, right, across the broad spectrum. And we've had some interesting times, to say the least, in the past year and a half. What kind of challenges has that brought to you?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I think that the biggest challenge that we faced is to keep up with the rapidly evolving demand and the needs of students, especially during COVID. And now in retrospect, we look at it and it's been an asset for us. But at the time, if I could take a few steps back,
Mhm.
when we first created My Private Professor, we were a little bit ahead of the curve. We were offering in-person as well as online tutoring sessions. And the goal for that was to basically promote a little bit more educational equity. You could be living in any geographic area and get access to the same amazing tutors, whether they are living in Boston or living in San Francisco. But we faced a lot of parents that really still wanted someone to come into their home and have a tutor with them. So now that sounds crazy, right? Having like a stranger walk into your house to teach you. But at the time, that was something that people really favored. And that was not that long ago. So we actually built a program around really having a robust in person tutoring platform. And then, as you know, COVID hit, and suddenly it accelerated the demand, the need, and everything else that came with online services, online support. And so we pivoted pretty quickly and embraced the challenge of trying to support the needs online, and was able to do that. And then when we watched the way that the trajectory of how COVID has impacted education, we kind of I'm grateful to say that I think we've been able to meet the needs every step of the way. So when schools abruptly closed um, in March, and you may have realized that with your kids as well, we decided to offer free online tutoring sessions after school. And when the summer approached, and we noticed that parents are starting to worry that there's suddenly no more summer classes, summer activities, they didn't have a plan in place. We created a curriculum for enrichment classes K through 12, from science labs to boot camps and math and English writing workshops, everything across the board, so that students can continue to be engaged and learning. And then you fast forward to fall, and it turns out that fall has a little asterisk as well, and it's also online or hybrid. And what we noticed was working parents, especially, were struggling, trying to figure out how they're going to manage school for their children that's online or hybrid. And at the same time, trying to be productive at work, which for many of them is actually at home because of this crazy space that we're at. So we were approached by many companies that actually wanted to find a way to help their employees help their students. And so that was something that was really fascinating for us. And I just think that I look back on this and think this challenge has basically helped us help. It proves that we can continue to help every step of the way. And it ended up broadening and strengthening the reach of our services and the reach of what our client is. I think that when we originally thought our ideal customer, what I used to think of is on a philosophical sense. It's going
Mhm.
to be anybody that values education, and that sees the benefit that academic support could provide in increasing students' trajectory to be well, like to be successful in life. There's so much data that robustly shows that there's a benefit of one-on-one tutoring to improving learning outcomes across the board, and an increase in educational attainment can translate to higher income, a greater chance of keeping a job full time, better opportunities. So you see that link. So I think of it more philosophically. Um, and the practical level that goes on top of that is it's people that just really want an efficient way to find a tutor that's really good. Someone who wants to be in the driver's seat and choose what tutor they'd like that's the best fit for their students. They don't want someone else to choose it for them. They want to watch the videos. They want to check the rate to see what's in their comfort zone. They want to look at their profiles, see who it is that really connects with them, make it as transparent as possible. And we've realized that that is something that not only individuals want, but companies want, organizations want. And so that's been interesting. I think that, Nathan, one thing that I love is I create this business based on what I want for my own family.
Mhm.
And so every tutor is vetted, and it's every tutor on our team is someone with whom I'd be comfortable with my own kids working with. And I feel like if you can set that standard, then any of my other friends, family, anybody else can be comfortable that, okay, this is how it is. It's very clear. There's no surprises. There's nothing, oh, sales calls, or we won't give you the rates unless you sign up. And so it's been very interesting, and it's great that that's sort of like pivoted and kind of turned into a space that we've enjoyed.
And I must mention, the courses that you had offered. My kids, our kids, participated in those, loved them, and also obviously as a parent, I looked at the website, I played with it, and I was able to go in and pick and choose, like you said, what works for us and what we think works for our children, and having that ability and that transparency to know who you're engaging with, what quality to expect. Of course, it's validated and approved by you, so that comes with a lot of weight. However, being able to see what schools have they been affiliated with, what are their credentials, and what and how it works with your own budget, that makes a big difference.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
And with challenges come opportunities. So if we look at the biggest opportunity you're targeting, what would that be?
Nathan, I think the biggest opportunity is this ability to be able to service companies, and to help companies that have really seen educational services and supporting their employees as a benefit to employees. It's like a perk. I think that that's something that's evolved, and I think it was out of necessity last year, and now it has staying power. People are starting to realize it. I think that with the companies that we've been privileged to work with, they've shared that it's helped with retention, it's helped with recruitment in a very tight labor market. They've saved money, which always makes us feel good that we're doing something
Mhm.
right, because it's cheaper for them, frankly, than signing bonuses,
Yeah.
or raises. It makes their employees feel good that they're being taken care of. But I'll be honest, I think that the part that really resonates with me is that there are students now that are getting tutoring and support that otherwise may not have had access to it.
True, true.
So I'm getting feedback from companies that share that the employees in the warehouse and the hourly employees are sharing amazing notes with us of how helpful and meaningful it's been for their students to get tutoring and get that extra support that they need that they might not have had. And since, again, going back, like that's my metric, like I really, really appreciate that. And with that, we have been able to do, we tied, as I mentioned, our hourly tutoring to be able to give back. I think that we've been able to have a lot of social impact. It's meaningful. It's not as big as it is with other companies, but we've been able to provide innovative grants to public school teachers, to support their schools. We've been able to offer free classes, to nonprofit youth, in a variety of subjects. We've been able to offer grants for tutoring with us, on a need basis. And we've been able to donate to some incredible, really incredible educational nonprofits. And so to me, that's what really feeds my soul. That's the reason why we're trying to do this, is to lift everybody up. So these opportunities are benefiting not only the people with whom we work, but even on a grander scale, which is wonderful.
I just love the win-win in this, you know, with and you hit all of these points with companies being able to retain talent, and more than retaining it, just shows that you care, right? You care for your employees, you care for their families, and that's why you want to do this. And for the employees themselves or the parents themselves, it relieves a certain amount of layer of stress that my child now has access to the best resources, the best tutors that are out there, and they're in good hands, in great hands. And bringing in this element of giving back, and if a company can maybe sponsor only a part of it, and then you can bring in some other sponsors to and donors to help out with it, I think it lifts the entire community. And that's what I love about this win-win-win from all aspects. So kudos to you for thinking about this and putting this in place. And you know the timing couldn't have been better.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So now, if we look back in the rear view mirror,
Uh-huh.
and you made some transitions yourself, is there a success story or even a lesson learned that you're either proud of, or that made you pause and think, reflect, and change gears, that you would like to share with us?
I love the idea of focusing on the forward and what we can do, and then talking about what we've been able to do and reflect, like you shared. I think I think the lesson learned that I want to share that's meaningful to me is that I feel like we tried to do the right thing last year, and I felt like the universe kind of presented us with opportunities as a result. Um, I feel like that is something that really just felt like we were in alignment. When COVID hit, we chose to try to take the high road, and we asked our tutors, they all willingly reduced their tutor rates, they increased their availability. Our goal was to be all hands on deck. This is something that no one has seen in our generation, and made sure that we were available. As I mentioned, we tried to do the online office hours, to have someone available for science and English language arts and writing, as well as math, every day. As long as someone needed it, we were available while schools closed. We created, as I mentioned, the summer classes. And I think that doing all of those things put some energy out there. And it happened to be that we were supporting a lot of nonprofits and trying to support the students that needed it most. And I think companies either took notice of it or just were on a similar parallel track and realized, hey, I saw you talking about this. This is actually something we'd like to do with our company. And they could see that our heart was in it, which I think really does make a difference.
Yes.
You can have the mindset and you can have the wherewithal, but there's something about that that I think resonates because they could feel that this is what we're trying to do. And so then we were getting approached by companies, and we weren't pitching, we weren't advertising, we weren't doing anything like that. And I just felt like there was something in the universe that was sort of like, could you offer this? And to hear companies ask us about, individual tutoring, and then they said, could you help us with drop-in sessions? And I thought, yes, we just did that for free last year. Could you help us create summer classes or writing classes? Yes. And I'm thinking, gosh, we did that for free also last year. So it was, you could see how this was it was very interesting to kind of watch. It really just makes me feel grateful. Like, I don't know how that happened, but it felt like you try to put some good energy out there, and sometimes it comes back the way that
Yes.
it helps everybody. So what we did to help the community ended up helping us with our business, which we're so grateful. So yeah, I think that was the lesson I learned, is just keep doing what you're doing.
I love that. Yeah, what goes around comes around, right? So you do it with the right intent, and it comes right back to you.
Yeah.
So, so we want to take this a step further, and we want to get to know you a little more, a little better. And the way we do this is through some one-line life lessons that I'm going to ask you to share with us. And if you want to give us a little bit of context around it, or how they came to you, or how you came to adopt them, and how they have come to define you, right? Would love that.
Perfect. How much time do we have? I have 50. No, I'm kidding. Kidding.
We'd love
The
500.
I wrote them on little notes so I can get the words right. Um, so the one that really resonates me, the first one that I'll share is in a world where you could be anything, be kind.
Yes, yes.
I really love that message. I think that it reminds us all to be humble. It reminds us all to have some modesty and kindness to others because we're all connected in this world. And I don't know, I just appreciate the reminder that we have these. I'm so grateful to have this incredible team, not just my tutors but my staff and just people that I get to work with. And I feel like what makes somebody a really good leader isn't that I have this business acumen that's better than others, or maybe the expertise, but I think it could be that connecting piece,
Yes,
and to try to treat everyone with as much respect as possible. And I think that that's something that when I use that as my light to kind of guide how I act, I feel like I'm genuine. And when I try to, sometimes things don't work out the way it needs to be, or sometimes you try your best, but I feel like there's that authenticity, and you could tell that the motivation and the intent is good. I think that goes a long way.
so true. Kindness and compassion. Yep.
Are you ready for the second one?
Yes, I am.
The next one is happiness is not something ready made, it comes from your own actions. What I really love about that is it reminds us about its perspective. Circumstances happen to everyone. As I mentioned, I'm an optimist. I
Yes,
like to find hope in things, but it doesn't mean everything is always perfect. It means that you can see a situation and have circumstances happen to you, but it's how you react to it and how you learn from it. So if we could kind of try to get that perspective, I think it really enables me to be more optimistic and just positive in life, and to really embrace and appreciate all that's out there. And sometimes things that happen to you, you may not know why, but there's a lesson learned in it. So I really appreciate that.
I love that.
And then the next one, it is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. That's Nelson Mandela. I really gravitate towards that statement because I feel like the metric that I want to use to measure my life and my legacy isn't how much money I make or how high I am on the totem pole or how many people work under me or some level like that. But it really is just how much impact can you have positively in your world, whatever that is. If it's the small world of yourself, of your family, of your community, of the universe, I just feel like it's not even about money. It could be time, it could be anything, but those gestures and what you do to try to lift people up is what to me is the most important metric of like where we are right now.
That's so deep and so meaningful, right? I love that.
Thank you. Okay. And then this is a little bit of a longer sentence, but
Mhm.
you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it. And that's from To Kill a Mockingbird. I really, really love that quote because, again, it just reminds us to be able to have as much empathy and understanding and appreciation for one another without judgment. I think that that's part of why I wanted to build this socially responsible element into the business, because it's not lost on me again that those that could afford it should be able to be, have these services that we provide. But I want to make sure everyone gets a chance. And I think that sometimes being able to see that other side, it really helps. It just really helps, move everybody forward. So I think about that a lot of like maybe to come at things with curiosity,
Mhm.
as opposed to judgment, and be interested in why people might react in a different way, or why things might happen in a different way. And it could be that it's in your own mindset that this is what I'm thinking, but the reality is you don't know what someone else's circumstance was at that moment. And we can't presume that. And I don't want to presume it. I just want to meet them with some grace every time. So yeah.
I love that. And the one other thing I picked up in there is curiosity over judgment. That's such a beautiful thought going in, and reminds me of when someone cuts you and goes through the driving lanes, and your first reaction. Uh, but if you can tame that and say, well, maybe they are in a rush, right? Could be many reasons,
Mhm.
and that's the end of it. And but yeah, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like I strive for that every day.
Yes.
It's like I'm a work in progress. I think we all are. So I feel like I hope that I'm just a little bit of a better person, even slightly today than I was yesterday. And everyone has their days, and we just try to focus on moving forward overall. Like the ocean of just kind of movement. Sometimes there's back and forth, but I like that. And then my last life lesson that I would be happy to share is just to surround yourself with good people. I feel like I'm so blessed. I have so many people around me that are just, they elevate me, they lift me up because of just their energy and their positivity, and from family to dear friends, that just really are in alignment with that same value of like what we're looking for. I am so grateful that my team of tutors, as well as the people that I work with on our staff, are incredible. I don't know many companies that have as a requirement for the tutors to share their personal like philanthropic experiences as a requirement to get on a team.
Yes.
And they have such great hearts, and we're all on this common mission to try to make a difference. And I really, really appreciate that. And I feel like it just re-energizes me every day to think about like we're trying to do something, and sometimes we all have our doubts, like can we make it? We want to really make a difference, and we're still growing as a company, but then you hear everybody and you hear the reasons why they're trying to be part of this almost movement, and you realize like, okay, we've got something here. And there's so much support collectively. It's really nice to be able to be part of that, and to try to do what we can so that we can help the next generation of students, and that means helping our future. So I'm just grateful to play some small little role and to be able to help some people in that space.
Well, you're too humble, and this is what I'm going to say. I think we tend to attract like-minded people, and I won't be surprised. In fact, I'm pretty confident that the people you have surrounded yourself with are there because of you, because of the energy, because of the vision, because of who you are, right? So it's not a surprise that these people have ended up with you. It's they have come to you for a reason, and you brought that energy with you.
Thank you. That's really sweet. I think it's the opposite. I think it's because of them, and I'm just grateful to be part of that group. But yeah, I do agree that I think the more that we all kind of come together and lift each other, it really makes a difference. So,
Sona, thank you so much for doing what you do and for taking time and being with us today. We really appreciate it. We'd love to bring you back on and see how this journey has continued to progress and how you as a team have achieved bigger success and bigger impact that really lifts us all together as a community.
and thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure, and I'm honored and humbled that you've been invited me to be part of this. And I'd be grateful and would be thrilled to be able to connect again and just give an update and just reconnect again. So thank you so much.
And those 45 other life lessons that you owe us.
Yes, absolutely. Stay tuned for round two.
Thank you so much, Sona.